I'm going to keep this straightforward because, honestly, when you're looking at a high-end booster system you've already got a lot on your mind. Will it actually solve the pressure issues in my house? Will it cost more in electricity than it saves? And what happens if something goes wrong? The answer isn't tucked away in a spec sheet, it's in how the unit behaves once it's installed and in the little trade-offs that only show up after a few weeks of use. If you want to check the product details on Amazon, the link is in the description. First off, let's talk about why a booster system like this exists in the first place. Most homeowners who consider a 5 HP, variable speed unit have either an older pressure tank that's struggling to keep up with multiple bathrooms, a high-rise home where the water has to travel a long way up, or a commercial setup that needs a steady flow for multiple fixtures. The problem isn't just low pressure, it's inconsistent pressure that causes the faucet to sputter, showers to fluctuate, or the dishwasher to underfill. The Grundfos Hydro Multi-E is marketed as a complete factory-assembled booster that promises to iron out those bumps with dual pump redundancy and a built-in PI controller that constantly tweaks speed. In real life, that means you get a system that can ramp up quickly when you open a second faucet, then dial back once the demand eases, ideally keeping the pressure steady without the whine you hear from older fixed-speed pumps. Who should actually consider this unit? If you have a 3-story house with a main water line that's already close to the municipal pressure limit, and you notice that adding a second shower or a washing machine drops your pressure noticeably, you're a prime candidate. It also makes sense for small commercial properties, think a boutique CAF or a dentist's office, where you need a reliable, continuous flow for multiple fixtures at once. On the flip side, if your home is a single-story ranch with a modern pressure tank, you probably won't feel the difference, and the 5 HP motor would be overkill, driving up your electricity bill for no real gain. The biggest practical strength of this Grund system is the dual pump configuration. In theory, you have two IE5 permanent magnet motors working in parallel, so if one motor fails, the other can keep the water moving, albeit at reduced capacity. In a scenario where you're mid-shower and the pump drops out, you won't be left with a cold, sputtering stream. The backup motor steps in automatically. That redundancy is a hard-won peace of mind for anyone whose water supply is mission-critical, like a medical office or a house with a medical need patient. Another advantage that shows up once you actually wire the unit up is the intelligent variable speed control. The onboard graphical display lets you see real-time pressure readings and the motor speed. Most reviewers who have installed similar Grundfos units note that the system learns the typical patterns of the house. It won't spin at full 5 HP all the time. During low demand, the motor might be cruising at 30% of its capacity, which translates into noticeable energy savings. The PI controller does the heavy lifting. It compares the set point pressure with the measured pressure and adjusts the motor speed in small increments, preventing the bang-bang cycling you sometimes hear from older booster pumps that switch on and off abruptly. Now for the hidden trade-offs. The first one is size and weight. At 46 inches long, 30 inches wide, and 36 inches high, and weighing over 500 pounds, this is not a unit you can just tuck into a garage corner without planning. It needs a dedicated, level platform and a solid electrical feed. It's a 3-phase, 208230V system, so you'll either need a contractor to run a new line or a subpanel that can handle the load. That initial installation cost can be a surprise for people who assumed just plug it in. If you're handy and have a 3-phase supply already, you'll save a bit, but most residential settings will need a professional electrician, which adds a few $100s to the total. A second practical weakness is the learning curve of the interface. The graphical display is clear, but navigating the menus to adjust the pressure setpoint, enable the dual pump mode, or troubleshoot an alarm isn't as intuitive as a simple on-off switch. Users who are not comfortable fiddling with settings might rely on the default configuration, which is fine for most, but it does mean you miss out on fine-tuning the system to match your exact flow needs. In practice, this translates to a longer commissioning period. You'll spend a weekend with the installer calibrating the unit, watching the pressure gauge as you run water through multiple fixtures, and then tweaking the set point a few times over the following weeks. One more real-world factor worth mentioning is noise. Because the two motors operate in parallel and the speed varies, you'll hear a low hum that rises and falls with demand. It's certainly quieter than a fixed-speed diesel pump, but it's not silent. If your pump room is directly under a bedroom ceiling, that hum could be noticeable during quiet nighttime.